BG Platinum 44K is one of the best in the game when it comes to fuel system cleaners, and today I'll be showing you what it did to my combustion chamber after using it in just one fill-up. However, I won't stop there. I'll also show before and after shots of the oxygen sensor and the catalytic converter. Now let's get this. My 2017 Honda Accord has a GDI engine, and I got this product primarily for cleaning the combustion chamber. And so to show the before footage, I take off the engine cover, ignition coils are next, and finally the spark plugs. My bore scope goes in, and here's the level of buildup in cylinder 1. We find the usual pale colored deposits from impurities in the fuel. I'm not sure why we have this clear demarcation on the piston top, but my take is that perhaps some of the holes on the fuel injector facing this side of the piston are probably clogged. Moving on to cylinder 2, and it's the same pale colored deposits. You're going to see later in the video that this is merely a cloak for the carbon deposits which rests below these impurities. Cylinder 3 looks exactly like cylinder 2 except for the exposure of some carbon at the edge of the piston in this area. Finally, we get to cylinder 4 and it's looking more like cylinder 1, again questioning a clogged or leaky fuel injector which has continued to drop some fuel in this darker area. Now that we've established before footage for the pistons, I had wanted to show the catalytic converter just for the sake of checking whether carbon deposits from the combustion chamber will be deposited on the cat. However, I was delighted to read BG's claim that this platinum product also cleans the O2 sensors as well as the catalytic converter. And so here's the O2 sensor. All this brownish tan stuff is normal. Moving over to the catalytic converter, and here's what it looks like. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video because I was actually surprised by how the catalytic converter looked in the end. Now that we have our baseline footage, I open up the product and I had to use this funnel while pouring it into the tank. I add around a quarter tank of gas before adding the product. One other observation is that this has a strong fishy smell to it. Maybe that's to do with the PEA, but I'm not sure. I fill up the car and then reset the trip meter. Because of the feedback I received in the Liquid Moly video, I decided not to do any wide open throttle driving, and I made no intentional effort to push the car out of the ordinary. I should state that my driving was around 70% city and 30% highway. I also had a fair bit of traffic as well. I took this route because most people dump fuel system cleaners into the tank and just go about their daily business without trying to do any spirited drive. Just to say that these fuel cleaning videos take a lot of effort to put together, so do leave a like and subscribe if it's the kind of content you like. That would mean a lot to me. After 351 miles, I was at empty, and here's the final results. Starting with cylinder 1, here's the before and here's the after. You can see that the product has burnt a crater through all the carbon deposits in the center of the piston, and this clearly shows how thick the initial buildup was. The indentations on the top of the piston are also more clearly defined, and I no longer see that initial half moon appearance, which I thought was due to clogged or leaky injectors. I also want to comment on these areas that you can see on the cylinder wall. Some of you on the Liquid Moly video were suggesting that the cylinder wall is worn, and so switching over to the 90-degree lens of my bore scope, you can see that there's no wear in the cylinder wall and the crosshatch pattern is just as it's meant to be. What you were seeing initially on the cylinder wall is just the reflection of the light from the bore scope off the center of the piston, which is now down to bare metal. Moving over to cylinder 2, and we have the same story of bare metal at the center of the piston, and a lot of the surrounding deposits have been cleared or are in the process of being burnt off. Over to cylinder 3, and it's the same finding, a cleaner center with better delineation of the indentations on the piston. And at this point, I'm sure some of you are beginning to wonder where all this carbon would end up. We're still going to get to the catalytic converter in a minute, but moving over to cylinder 4, again a cleaner center, and similar to cylinder 1, I also think that the injectors are cleaner since I no longer see that stark demarcation on the top of the piston. Next is the oxygen sensor. Not much to write home about. I actually think that this area facing the exhaust ports look a tad darker in the after. This is probably due to the carbon from the combustion chamber. However, what surprised me the most was how the catalytic converter looked. I have to say that this is noticeably cleaner. I don't see any evidence of clogging, and I'll have to agree with BG that this product does clean the catalytic converter. However, in my experience, I didn't get all the piston tops shiny in one tank. Maybe that's down to the fact that I did mostly city driving, but I'll be repeating this experiment with another another can of BG Platinum 44K, but this time I'll add some spirited driving or Italian tuning. Let me know in the comments if this is something you want to see, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.